150,000 cedis with one surety to be justified. We have the details on this issue for you and also get some reactions tonight. At least 7 of the 15 deaths linked to election-related violence in 2020 and 2024 have been attributed to the actions of police and military personnel. We'll dig into the specifics of that particular report released earlier today. President John Dramani Mahama has ordered a forensic audit into the 13th All-African Games. We'll show you the focus areas of the audit and hear from an anti-corruption campaigner as to exactly why this directive by the president is crucial in the fight against corruption. You have this and more, including an update on the ongoing trial of Chairman Wontumi and Mustafa Hamid. Stay with us. As always, an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking.
Member of Parliament for Isitifi North, Ebenezer Kwekuado, has been granted a bail of 150,000 cedis with one surety to be justified. Earlier today, Majority Leader had disclosed that the Member of Parliament for Isitifi North had been interrogated by the Criminal Investigations Department and sent to court for his alleged involvement in the attacks on operatives of the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat.
Let me indicate that yesterday I got a call from the Minister for the Interior, Honorable Muntaka, that the IGP needed the member for interrogation. He went with our Majority Chief Whip and his lawyer. They received him at CID headquarters, took him through the processes, and I received a call not quite long ago that he has been taken to court.
The police and military have been implicated in 7 of the 15 deaths recorded during the 2020 and 2024 election violence cases in parts of the country. The Interior Minister, updating the public on the investigations into election-related violence, reviewed procedural actions were overlooked, legal requirements were violated, and there were instances of clear breaches of discipline.
These cases had resulted in 15 deaths across the country, and well over 40 individuals got injured. Some procedural actions were overlooked. There were instances of clear breaches of discipline. The investigation established that 3 of the cases resulting in 4 deaths are traceable to the use of firearms by armed police patrol teams. Military personnel were also found to be responsible for 3 of the cases resulting in the death of 3 persons.
Following the submission of a report by the National Intelligence Bureau (NIB) on the organization and management of the 13th All-African Games, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has directed the Auditor General to undertake a comprehensive forensic audit of all financial and operational aspects of the game. The Auditor General is expected to submit the report to the President by the 2nd week of December 2025. Lawyers for the NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman, Bernard Ntriboisiako, aka Chairman Wontumi, are disappointed the Attorney General dropped charges against the General Manager of Akonta Mining after he offered to testify against their clients. Edward Akwoku, the former 4th accused person, and Wontumi were facing multiple illegal mining charges until the Attorney General withdrew the charges against him. Lead counsel for Chairman Wontumi, Andy Apia Kubi, accused the Attorney General of attempt to undermine the cause of justice.
If Attorney General, with all the materials available to him, all the resources available to him, including human personnel, if it is just for him to only rely on a former accused person to prosecute a matter against one of the accused persons or some of the accused persons. And he thinks that justice may not be undermined. That is his decision.
The Office of the Special Prosecutor has summoned Ghana Revenue Authority Commissioner General Anthony Sapong, Assistant Commissioner Celestine Annan, and Technical Assistant Kenneth Ejei-Dua for questioning. The directive follows the arrest of GRA's acting head of legal and concerns alleged contradictory statements and a letter reportedly issued to lawyers of SML Ghana at the official's instructions.
There's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. So it's probably brought to you by Flamingo Paint, Simply Superior, and Sasso Insecticide Spray and Coil, Tum Preco, coming up next year on Ghana Tonight. The Esutifi North Member of Parliament has been granted 150,000 cedis bail after allegedly urging youth to attack the NIMOS task force. Now, we've got details for you because this was an issue that took center stage in Parliament earlier today, and rightly so. Members of Parliament that's the member of Parliament for this particular constituency, Beneza Kweku Ado, has been granted a bail of 150,000 cedis with one surety. We're going to run through the full details for you to be justified. Earlier today, the majority leader, Mama Yarga, disclosed that the member of Parliament for Esutifi North had been interrogated by the Criminal Investigations Department of Ghana Police Service and sent to court for his alleged involvement in the attack on operatives of the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat. Now, this is a video that it's gone viral. We played it yesterday. We're gonna show you exactly what happened and why he's a subject of investigation. He said this after the speaker condemned the alleged attack and denied claims that Parliament is shielding lawmakers from scrutiny. Let's hear from Right Honourable Alban Suman Kingsford Bagman earlier today on this matter. Take a look.
When we commenced this meeting on the 21st of October 2025, I had cause to remind members about the need for comportment and my intention to ensure strict compliance with the 1992 Constitution and the standing orders of Parliament. While honourable members are granted severe and several privileges and immunities, which serve as procedural guards, in fact safeguards, these are intended to assist members to undertake their duties and not expected to be a basis for members to be shielded from the effect of alleged unlawful actions. The report of attacks on the team from the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, a task force which we all know has been established to combat illegal mining activities in the country, is most worrying. Also worrying is the fact that the attack was allegedly incited by one of our own, the Member of Parliament for Esutifi North constituency, to provide all the needed support to the investigation by the Ghana Police Service within the framework of the 1992 Constitution, the laws of this country, and the standing orders of the House. I am made to understand that the member has voluntarily submitted himself to the Criminal Investigation Department of Ghana Police to assist in the investigation, as many members have done in other cases.
Well, so that's the speaker there, and I'm going to tell you exactly what happened earlier today in court with respect to this matter. But the majority leader, Mama Yarga, also had this to say about this particular issue regarding the Member of Parliament and he appearing before the CID and eventually being sent to court. This is what Mama Yarga said in Parliament earlier today.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I listened to you carefully, and I thought what I heard was a formal communication on the question of the privileges of members of Parliament. And I am hoping that our brief comments would focus on the question of privileges. I think what I heard you say is that you will not shield any member of this House when they are alleged to have committed offenses and the law enforcement agencies are seeking to investigate and establish whether indeed a crime has been committed for the purposes of being prosecuted or held accountable in any other form, shape, or manner. And you zeroed in on the specific instance of the alleged attack on the anti-Galamsey task force. We all heard in the media that there was an attack on an anti-Galamsey task force in Esutufi South, and I later got some indication that a member on this side of the House is alleged to have instigated some community members to resist the work of the task force. Mr. Speaker, let me indicate that yesterday I got a call from the Minister for the Interior, Honorable Muntaka, that the IGP needed the member for interrogation. I invited the member, he came to my office, and I was trying to reach Muntaka, I couldn't reach him, so ultimately I had to ask the member to go. If I reach Muntaka, I will call him back. Subsequently, Honorable Muntaka called me back. He was in a meeting when I was calling him. And I told him that I had invited the MP. He was ready to come see whoever he should see. But because we did not hear from him, I had dismissed him. So we scheduled that this morning the member should be sent to the CID headquarters to meet with one of the deputy CID directors for processing. And so this morning he went with our majority chief whip and his lawyer. They received him at CID headquarters, took him through the processes, and I received a call not quite long ago that he has been taken to court, and as we speak, he is actually in court being arraigned. And so let me also indicate that as members of Parliament, we do not consider ourselves being above the law.
So that's Mama Yarga there. The minority leader, Alexander Apenyomakin, also said something about this particular issue, especially on the back of the information that this member of Parliament in question did indeed, according to the Speaker, voluntarily make himself available to the CID after the invitation yesterday. He was arraigned before court. But this is what Alexander Apenyomakin said on the floor of Parliament as well on this.
Mr. Speaker, indeed, democracy provides that the actors must have an opportunity to politic, do politics, share ideas, and have their views, disagree and agree. It is, however, part of democracy also for the core issues of national discourse to be agreed upon by the active stakeholders in this process. Mr. Speaker, the matter you've just raised, Galamsey, is one thing that, for the want of a better word, I must say that we as political leaders, active stakeholders of this democracy, have failed. And I say so without mincing words. We must, as political actors, know that there are matters that we have to agree upon and nib it in the bud. My recent recollection of this matter dates me back to 2015 as a young member of the Finance Committee. Honorable Setepe, Minister of Finance, as he then was, appeared before us and lamented how Galamsey was affecting cocoa production.
That's Alexander Apanyomak in there. You see a crowd of people, I mean, young people who thronged this location, attacked this NIMOS officer. We're going to put it on the screen right now. And I'm doing this just to put in the context that even though we see a crowd, there are 4 persons who are standing trial for this particular incident, what you're seeing on the screen right now. For now, at least, from what we do know on the face of what happened in court earlier today. These are the 4 individuals we're talking about. These accused persons, the Member of Parliament for the Esotifi North Constituency, Ebenezer Kwekwado, is one of the accused persons. The others, Zakaria Yakubu, who is at large, Alex, also at large, and others, and you can understand why. The others also at large. But there's this video evidence, video that has gone viral, video that we've been showing since yesterday, also captures clearly the faces of some of the marauding young people who took the law into their own hands, vandalized the vehicle, and attacked these NIMOS officials in this particular area within the constituency. So that's for the police, CID, to analyze this video and identify the faces, to fill up the names as we're seeing with the at large, and the others that are at large. But these are the specifics of the hearing earlier today. In fact, the prosecution requested that the Member of Parliament be remanded for allegedly interfering with the investigation, or in fact, that because he could interfere with investigations in this particular issue. Now, even though this particular request was made by the prosecution, the lawyers for the Member of Parliament urged the court to grant him bail. That's what was done today. The courts indeed did hear that plea, and the bail was granted with these conditions. I'm going to put it on the screen. 150,000 cedis with one surety to be justified. The Member of Parliament is barred from leaving the jurisdiction, that's the Greater Accra region, to any part of the country without prior notice to the investigator. So that's one other condition for this bail. If he has to even go outside of the Greater Accra region, he has to notify the investigator. And that will be subject to either he being allowed or otherwise. He's also expected to report once every 2 weeks to the investigator. In this case, the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service. The case has been adjourned to December 1, 2025, December 1. And we heard the members of Parliament talk about this and how the Parliament itself, the Speaker says he will not shield anyone. Let's stay in court a bit further because the Chairman Wontumi was in court. This matter as well what came up in court earlier today. Let's stay a bit further in court earlier today. And Bernard Entry-Boesiako, that is the Ashanti Regional Chair of the New Patriotic Party, Chairman Wontumi's lawyers, they are crying foul as the charges against Akonta Mining's general manager have been dropped after he agreed to testify against their client. Now, we'll hear a bit more on this, but this is what happened earlier in court today. As we do know, yesterday, the Attorney General dropped the charges against the fourth accused in this case, that is the general manager of Akonta Mining, but the lawyers for the NPP Ashanti Regional Chair, Bernard Entry-Boesiako, also known as Chairman Wontumi, are disappointed that the Attorney General dropped the charges against the general manager of Akonta Mining after he offered to testify against their client. That's Chairman Wontumi, Edward Akwaku, now the former fourth accused person, and Wontumi were facing multiple illegal mining charges until the Attorney General withdrew the charges against him. And the Apiakubi is lawyer for Chairman Wontumi. He spoke to my colleague and our legal affairs correspondent, Lord Edwasari, together with some other journalists earlier today in court on their position. Take a look.
Attorney General, with all the materials available to him, all the resources available to him, including human personnel, if it's just for him to only rely on a former accused person to prosecute a matter against one of the accused persons or some of the accused persons, and he thinks that justice may not be undermined. That is his decision. The way that the Attorney General appears to be poaching his own accused persons suggests that there is intent to undermine the cause of justice. We will resist your princess.
That's Andy Apiakubi there. He's joining us right now on Zoom, but the Zoom connection not too clear. So Andy Apiakubi is lawyer or lead counsel for Chairman Wontumi. Good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. So I hear you speak, but what exactly has the Attorney General done wrong in deciding to drop the charges against this fourth accused, the general manager of your client's company, because he has agreed to now serve as prosecution witness? What has the Attorney General done wrong exactly?
Well, Attorney General, being the Minister of Justice, has a mandate to ensure fair trial at all times. And the Attorney General himself poaching his own accused person to be his witness means that there is some motivation in encouraging the accused person to rather turn a witness. If that is the case, then where is the guarantee that his evidence will be credible? Because he is motivated by something, either by threats or by security of absence of prosecution or pecuniary consideration. Either way, it is an abuse of the system and the possibility of the witness also bringing up falsehood in his attempt to fulfill the expectations of the Attorney General. These are the concerns we are raising. And in any case, what will be the weight of that evidence when we have punctured his lines of integrity?
I mean, but why do you call this development an abuse of the system and the Attorney General poaching witnesses? I mean, is it to say that the fourth accused, the general manager of Akonta Mining, did not voluntarily agree to be prosecution witness? Was he coerced to do so?
I am privy to the conversation between the Attorney General and he's a fourth accused person. And it was a back and forth situation with other people also even being engaged to influence him into taking that position. And again, the threat of him going to jail was always laid at him, that if he didn't join the Attorney General as a prosecution witness, he was going to go to jail. That was the threat that was being given to him. And obviously, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to mount a defense, for which reason he might be convicted and sent to jail. And for that reason, he wants to avoid that and then do the Attorney General's bidding. But it's a very dangerous precedent because it's an open invitation to accused persons who would have collaborated or abetted or been involved in crime to always run to Attorney General and seek to be his witness whilst giving out evidence that may not necessarily be wholesome.
I see, but well, we're not privy to the said conversation that you say you are privy to between the Attorney General and the fourth accused now, who is not agreed to be prosecution witness. But even beyond that, is the Attorney General not allowed to employ all legally allowable strategies to, as it were, get to confirm and to prove beyond reasonable doubt the accusations against your client, and that including getting some accused persons to be prosecution witnesses? Is that not legally allowed? What has he done wrong? I mean, because I read Act 30, and that's quite clear, is it not?
Yeah, it is true that under the Act 30, there is that dispensation available to the Attorney General. But again, we have also superior case law that suggests that the evidence of such a witness is not binding on other accused persons. There's also case law to suggest that. So when we get to that position, we'll prefer all such case law in protest against the use of the accused person, and also make the courts also aware of the value of any such evidence.
See. Well, wait for that and see how the coming days will look like on this matter and what you intend to do. Andy Apiakobi is lead counsel for Chairman Wontumi and this Akunta mining matter and the allegations of illegal mining against that company. But coming up next, away from the courts, but coming up next here on Ghana Tonight, police and the military blamed for nearly half of election-related deaths in 2020 and 2024. We unpack the damning new report by the Minister for the Interior, Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, who gave some detail earlier today. Quite troubling, thinking about the fact that there are families who are still living with the memories of the loss of these individuals, their loved ones, all as a result of elections in this country. The police and military have been implicated in 7 out of the 15 deaths recorded during the 2020 and 2024 election violence cases in parts of the country. Now, the Interior Minister, updating the public on the investigations into the election-related violence, revealed procedural actions were overlooked, legal requirements were violated, and there were instances of clear breaches of discipline. Let's take a look at this. And we recall exactly what Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak said at that press conference earlier today. Take a look.
Investigation Task Force identified 12 cases that took place during the 2020 and 2024 general election. These cases had resulted in 15 deaths across the country, and well over 40 individuals got injured. Some procedural actions were overlooked. There were instances of clear breaches of discipline. The investigation established that 3 of the cases resulting in 4 deaths are traceable to the use of firearms by armed police patrol teams. Military personnel were also found to be responsible for 3 of the cases resulting in the death of 3 persons Investigation further established that 4 of the cases, which resulted in 5 deaths, were recorded when party enthusiastic supporters resorted to the use of firearms against their opponent. The 2 other cases involve persons who were lynched during confrontation between supporters of the 2 major parties. The use of firearms by security personnel was not done under the command of a senior officer who could have ensured that appropriate rules of engagement were observed. Security personnel, especially the police patrol teams at the collation center, fired indiscriminately, and in some cases, they directed fire at the escaping crowd. Police should receive orientation and desist from using lethal force in crowd control situations. The use of armed military personnel for crowd control duties accounted for the incident that led to the death of 1 person and injured 4 others. The use of military in crowd control activity should cease. 21 suspects have been identified through witness interview, scene visit, reconstruction of crime and crime scene, and forensic and ballistic examination of material of evidence relevant to the cases. 11 new dockets have been built on the cases. 4 of the identified suspects have been arrested and admitted to police inquiry bills to facilitate further investigation and to trace their accomplices. 5 other identified suspects have been remanded in prison custody. Warrants of arrest have been procured to facilitate the arrest of some of the identified suspects who are on the run.
What a troubling situation as we're seeing now in this. And in fact, if you combine the deaths in 2020 and 2024, a total of 15 people died as a result of elections in this country. So, you know, and this, we've gleaned the data from what the minister presented, Research Desk, Wisdom Safo and the team putting this together. The total casualties, 55, that resulted in 15 deaths and 40 people who are living with various degrees of injury. And they are still nursing their injuries as we speak and are unable to engage in any productive venture. Now, what is happening to these people? How are they living? The 15 who have died, what's happening to their families? Questions are being asked right now. If you recall, one of the first directives or a charge that the president, John Dramani Mahama, gave to the then IGP, Dr. George Akufo-Dampare, was to conduct investigations into these 2 election-related violence and present a report. Well, that report never came on, at least before he was sacked. But this is it. The Ashanti region, 3 deaths. Bono East, 3 deaths. Greater Accra, 3. You recall what happened in Ododio, in the northern region, 2. Bono, 2. And then also Savannah, 1. Central, 1. If you recall, in the election 2024, there was a death in the Tolong constituency. That's also a matter that's been investigated. We haven't seen the end of it as yet, at least. There's no record of anybody being held culpable for that. So this was happened in terms of the regional breakdown of exactly where these deaths happened and then also the specific constituencies. As I indicated earlier, in the Greater Accra region, the deaths that we recorded, if you look at what we showed you earlier, Greater Accra region had 3 unfortunate death cases. 2 of them took place in the Ododio constituency. 15 people are nursing their injuries. If you look at the other regions, in the Bono East region, if you recall, Techiman South, big issue during that 2020 elections, and in Kuranza South as well. And then in the Greater Accra region, apart from Ododio, we had Ablekuma Central also record some situations in there. In the Bono region, Banda, Ahenkro constituency, and Doma West. Then the Ashanti region, there was Finso North, Ahafua Southwest, and then in the northern region, Savelugu and the Tolong, as I indicated earlier, and the central region, Owutu Senya East. If you recall, this was Howard Kumsen's constituency. When she was minister at the time, the incumbent member of parliament for this constituency. In fact, in the 2024 elections, a sad development that we recorded as well, and it was extensively reported here Onyo Election Command Center in the Savannah region, Damongo as well. There was a death case there. Now, as troubling as this looks, in terms of the security agency's involvement, the number of cases that, according to the Minister for the Interior, the police were involved and were faulted for their operational mishap was at least 5 deaths and some 25 injury cases. The military were involved in crowd control mechanism when they are not, fundamentally trained to do so, led to the death of some 2 persons, injuries 3, police and military jointly, as we're saying now, and all security involvement in these cases. Is that the picture looks bad and gloomy. But Richard Kumado, a security analyst, is joining us on Zoom right now. Mr. Kumado, the troubling takeaway for me is the fact that with all these cases as we are seeing, nobody, at least on record, has been prosecuted for the death of these people, is it?
Definitely, yes. And that is the most troubling aspect of it. Number 2 is also to make the point that our elections and some aspect of our elections is too violent, and it continues to be violent. And we need to find a solution to it and find out why our elections predominantly, some aspect of it is violent, and what are we not doing right. Number 3, we want to thank IGP Yohonu, Christian Tete Yohonu and his team have done a good job, and they broke down the myth surrounding the elections and election-related violence. The speed at which they put this report together, based on intelligence and investigations, I believe if we task them to hold the perpetrators accountable, they will be able to do it in all aspects. And where there are challenges, they will inform the general public. But Alfred, here is the thing. Every election in this country is governed by law, which we predominantly call the CI. There are 3 things the CI does. It outlines the election procedure, and it defines the election processes and provides remedies where there are discrepancies or conflicts. What we haven't done right, which the Minister of Interior hammered, was the procedure. Anytime the procedure is circumvented and the processes are contravened, you are asking for trouble. So that is what we did, particularly in the 2020 election and some aspect of 2024. Watch back again and see the recent election we had at Akwatia. The recent election we had at Akwatia should be the standard. Why is it a standard? IGP Christian Tete Yohonu and his men virtually conducted the election. Apart from filling in the figures and announcing the results to the general public, you saw the display. They were not just there to show strength, but they were there to make sure that the aspect of our elections that usually get strained and result in violence do not exist. What is the point I'm making here? To every reaction, there's a cost. And to the extent that you are going to have elections and the conduct of the election and the election managers will not do their job properly, you are going to have the second people who are the actors of this election, who are the constituents or the voters, they will agitate. And if you have law enforcement officers who are happy trigger people, backed by politics in most times, they will open fire, knowing very well that they will not be held accountable. And once people are not held accountable as a nation, then you are creating the premises for people to rationalize their bad behavior and promote antisocial tendencies in society. That is to kill people and walk away. So that is where we are, Alfred, in what the Minister of Interior has enumerated today this afternoon.
But it even gets more troubling when a number of these cases involve the same people who are supposed to maintain law and order. I'm talking about the security personnel, isn't it? I mean, quite a number of the death cases, they are at the center of this perpetration.
Definitely, they hold the guns. They hold the guns, and they provide safety and they provide security. But the aspect of the result of the report, you need to find out when the minister said procedure. That word procedure is a procedure breach on the part of the security agencies, on the part of the Electoral Commission, and on the part of the voters. Because these are the 3 people within every chain in an election procedure. And if you have security officers who knows that they can kill people and get away with it, they will breach the procedure. It's all backed by politics. And I'm telling you, if you take away the politics out of it, and these law enforcement officers knows that they can be held accountable, and the conductors of the election, which is the Electoral Commission, knows that any lackadaisical attitude and ineffective procedure will lead to agitation and people's life will be on the line. Then we are holding ourselves accountable across board. Because Alfred, what would have been the situation? Take a typical situation like Odododio or Ablekuma North or Ablekuma South, or take a particular situation like any of the red flags in this country. If you do not have the law enforcement officers, what are you going to do? What the report also did not say, or the report said it, but it was little on that one, was the law enforcement officers who have also been injured, was the law enforcement officers who have also been shot at, was the law enforcement officers who have also carried wounds as a result of election functions they have performed in this country. So the question we ask is, those who are supposed to provide security that are killing us, they are also being killed and they are also being shot at. Who are the people behind who give some of these instructions, and why are they not being called out, and why are they not being prosecuted? Because of politics, and they know they can get away with it. What is the point I'm making? If the Electoral Commission cannot conduct the election, let's give the elections to the Ghana Police Service. And you saw what Christian Tete Yohono did at Akotia in that particular election, for which some of us spent a number of days and number of hours there. You saw the police. They virtually conduct the election from beginning to the end. And we did not record a single bullet being fired.
I mean, well, yes, but then again, will it not be
record a procedure will it not be, we need to be discussing.
But you see, will it not be far-fetched to just use a single constituency elections to make a generalized statement of how the police service can do? Take into consideration, one, they have issues with the limited number of personnel. The number of personnel they deployed in Akwatia alone, they cannot deploy the same number of police personnel across 276 constituencies on election day, the general elections. So those are two different situations. But I can give it to you.
That is great. That is great. But you remember that at Akwatia, that was only police. The immigration was not part of it. The fire service was not part of it. The prison was not part of it. Yeah, I agree with you to a large extent. But those who conduct the election, and those who create the inefficiencies, when you take the 2024 election, I have followed this election in this country from 1992. In 2024, as at 9 a.m. in the morning or 9:30, check how many constituencies were announced by the Electoral Commission. When you create a hold-up and you add control measures and layers to the election, and you create a suspense in the end, you are creating a situation where the voters will agitate. And when they agitate, they are coming on crash with the police. And if you have police who are happy lot and the military officers who are happy trigger people, you are creating problems.
Okay.
So I'm saying that I'm not holding brief for the law enforcement officers, but those who conduct the election, the Electoral Commission, what has been their role in all these things?
But
and
then
what
again,
has been their responsibility when things go bad? Alfred, let me give you another example.
Because of time.
Hold on.
Yes, just because of time. I just wanted to quickly conclude on this because of time. Now, you recall that there was this IASO West Worgon Commission of Inquiry. They produced a white paper. Now, the minister is saying that the white paper's recommendations should be implemented. If that had been done years ago, at least it could have prevented some of these deaths we saw in 2024, at the least, isn't it? Quickly.
Definitely, that is what I said, that not punishable of offenses, rationalize bad behavior and produce and promote antisocial tendencies in society. And I've also made the point so strong that some of these guys are backed by politics, and politics wouldn't want anybody to be punished, particularly when it's related to them. But you remember, one of the accusations against the Ghana Police Service at the Ablekuma, where we went for the rerun, was that the police was not providing the cover for the election officers to collect the results. And you saw what happened at the Tesano police station. And you saw what happened at other places. I'm just saying that those who conduct election in this country bear as much responsibility as the frontline police officers and the voters in this election, because it's a shared responsibility. And we need to be holding ourselves accountable. That is the only way we are going to develop ourselves and develop this democracy after.
And rightly so. I appreciate your time. Thank you, Richard Commodore, security analyst. This is Ghana Tonight. After this quick break, President Mahama has ordered a forensic audit into the 13th All-Africa Games. Now, we're going to tell you exactly the key targets and hear from an anti-corruption crusade as well on this All Africa Games, the persons who would be subjects of investigation. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. Now, following the submission of a report by the National Intelligence Bureau on the organization and management of the 13th Africa Games, which was held here in Accra, His Excellency, and also Cape Coast, His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama, has directed the Auditor General to undertake a comprehensive forensic audit of all financial and operational aspects of the games. The Auditor General is expected to submit the report to the President by the second week of December. Now, take note of that. By the second week of December, the Auditor General is expected to submit the details of this particular report, this forensic audit that has been directed to conduct. Now, here's what we do know about the All Africa Games and then which areas will be of the matter of focus for this audit. First off, on the matter of procurement. Procurement is key. This procurement and contracting processes, including the tendering, selection of contractors and suppliers, and compliance with the Public Procurement Act 663 as amended. Also, the financial management and expenditure controls, examining all the sources of funding and disbursement and expenditures, including sponsorship and subventions, infractions, that's the infrastructure, I beg your pardon, and project delivery, assessing the implementation, cost, variations, timelines, value for money, outcomes of all facilities developed for the games. You recall that that was a very heavy issue as well, as to how much was spent to put some of the hostels at the University of Ghana in shape for these games, and how much was spent there. Now, asset management, post-games utilization, verifying the inventory, and then also institutional oversight, coordination, evaluating the roles and responsibilities of agencies. Well, quite apart from what we do know on this particular one, here is what the Honorable Kobina Woyome, who was the then ranking member on the Parliamentary Select Committee on Sports, said in terms of the cost, how much it costs us as a people. The budgeted amount was $245 million. $195 million went into infrastructure. And it's not as though we built like any structure ground up, as in, all the accommodation facilities that were used. Then transportation and logistics, $48 million. Food for athletes for 18 days, $15 million. Yeah, that's according to Kobina Woyome. So that's going to be an area of focus for this forensic audit, if indeed these figures are anything to go by. And Adam Senano is the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Mr. Senano, first of all, I want to find out from you what you make of this decision by the president for a forensic audit to be conducted into this 13th Africa Games.
I think it's an important thing where the president clearly appears to be seized with the facts of issues going on around him and can place emphasis on areas where ordinarily all of us as Ghanaians would say, look, this deserves some more attention. And so I'm happy to note that he's given this kind of directive. And hopefully that effort would bring results that inure to the benefit of the nation in terms of if anything has gone wrong, we'll be able to address it and strengthen our mechanisms for the future.
See, but then again as well, it leads us to the next issue about what could possibly be the specific areas of focus, taking into consideration the fact that, yes, there's been a lot of commentary on this, and then also the fact that this matter as well has been subjected to a lot of the politics of it. What should be the areas of focus?
I mean, I think the auditors probably will be the best people to answer this question. I assume that there may have been telltale signs. So the deep dive that is being requested by the president must be something that is being triggered by the fact that the regular audit itself highlighted a number of things that make it necessary, make it logical to suggest that, let's do a much more thorough job. So in my mind, the Auditor General's work itself has served as a basis for us to go to tell where we should pay more attention to and where there may not be anything. And so I think that the general audits themselves are important, the annual ones, and they can serve as a catalyst. They may serve as a screening point to identify particular areas, projects, interventions, sectors that need further, scrutiny, as is the case now, looking at the 13th African Games that we hosted in part.
With the view that already some have started espousing that this could be subjected to or be used as a means of a witch hunt politically, would that have any grounds or basis?
I've always debated and debunked that kind of thinking. I have said that it is important for us to note that part of our anti-corruption mechanism is that after you have finished your tenure of government, the next government will come in and put a microscope to what you are doing. It may include the use of an oral approach. It may involve the use of forensic audits. It may come up with whatever they think is worthy of applying, such that one has scrutiny of what has transpired. In any case, leadership is supposed to be accountable. So if within your tenure, you are not responsive enough and allow the state organizations mandated to do these things to do so, whoever comes after you is going to do that. It should not be in any way called witch hunting or political whatever. That is just the way the governance system in our country works. Once you're out of government, to the extent that there are some things that people are not satisfied that these things were properly investigated, conclusions drawn, evidence made available to suggest that you are clear, nothing untoward has happened, the next person who comes to occupy that seat and occupies government is surely going to do so. And we should quit saying it's witch hunting. That is what it will be, and that's what it should be.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining us here. Adam Senanu is a co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. On behalf of the rest of the team, we do appreciate your company. And I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.